Hey guys, welcome back to another week of meals video. Today is Saturday and I'm getting going with my dinner prep. I'm finding that I tend to cook most of my meals for the week on the weekend and then we eat on leftovers throughout the week. So I have a dinner planned for tonight. We're actually going to a get together that I am cooking for. I'm going to be making some ground beef stroganoff over mashed potatoes. So that's what I'm going to be cooking in just a little bit. And then tomorrow I'm planning on making a big pot of white chicken chili. So you should see that in this video. On Tuesday this week, Autumn cooked a meal for the family and I tried to get her to talk to you guys on video and tell you all about what she was doing and how she was making it, but she didn't want to do that. She did agree to let me film her, so I did get some footage of her cooking and I'm going to go ahead and put that footage in right now. So like I said, today is Saturday and I'm getting going with my dinner prep. It's only like 1 o'clock in the afternoon right now, but I'm making beef stroganoff, and so I thought that I would throw it all together and get it cooked, and then it will just sit on keep warm mode until I'm ready to like do the last finishing touches, and I will make the mashed potatoes a little closer to time for dinner. I jotted down my ingredients real quick, so if you want to take a screenshot, feel free to do that. I'm going to be using some avocado oil to saute up the meat, then adding some mushrooms and onion. The spices I'll be using are salt and pepper and garlic powder with some red wine vinegar and some Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to be using some of this very jiggly beef bone broth that I made the other day, which is just amazing. It's practically alive. And then at the end, I'm going to thicken it up with some arrowroot starch and add in some sour cream. First thing I'm going to do is turn my pot onto saute mode and get my oil in so I can start sauteing up my meat. About a tablespoon of oil. I don't usually measure. I am using my Duo Evo Plus 8-quart Instant Pot today, but this could be made in any 6 or 8-quart pot. If you have a 3-quart pot and you want to make this recipe, just reduce it in half and do 1 pound of meat instead of 2. While the pot is heating up, I'm just going to add my spices to the ground beef, and that way as soon as the pot is hot enough, I can just throw everything in and it'll be ready to go. 2 teaspoons of salt. 1 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm just doing a half a teaspoon of garlic because some people in my family don't care for garlic very much. If you like garlic, increase it to a full teaspoon. Pot should be about hot enough, so I'm adding in my meat. And while the meat is browning, I will chop up my 8 ounces of mushrooms and my onion. I'm doing about maybe a half of a large onion. The ground beef is almost cooked through, so I'm gonna add in the onions and the mushrooms. And I'll probably saute these together for another maybe 3 minutes. Now I'm gonna add in the 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce and 1 tablespoon of red wine vinegar and 1 cup of broth. That's about 1 cup there. I'm pressing cancel to turn off the saute mode, and I'll just get this stirred up real quick. And you can see that really jiggly broth just melts right down as soon as it hits the heat, and that will give enough liquid for the pot to come up to pressure. So now we're ready to pressure cook. I'm gonna lock my lid. I'm gonna hit pressure cook, custom, and I'm gonna do 8 minutes on high pressure. And it could cook less than 8 minutes, I'm sure, and be totally fine. But I like to really cook down the onions and the mushrooms because there are some people in the family that don't enjoy those very much either. And if I cook them down really well, then they don't notice them as much. Cook time finished, and it's been on keep warm mode for a little while, so I am going to quick release the rest of the pressure and then get it thickened up. For the thickening, I'm going to use arrowroot starch, but you could use cornstarch as well. I'm going to do maybe like a heaping tablespoon. I think I'll need a little more than a tablespoon, but probably not quite 2 tablespoons. So we'll start with this and see where we get. Just going to whisk that up real quick. I'm going to press cancel to turn off the keep warm mode, and then I'm turning saute back on so that it can thicken up. Just whisking the arrowroot mixture in. And it usually thickens up really fast. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm going to let it come up to a simmer real quick, and then I will add in the half a cup of sour cream, and this will be ready to go. I'm not really going to measure on the sour cream. I can guess about half a cup. That's pretty close to half a cup, but a little more won't hurt it. I don't want it to boil heavily after I add the sour cream. I just want to heat up the sour cream, so I just went ahead and turned off the saute mode. And if you want this to look really pretty, you could add some chopped parsley in here right now, and it would look really nice with the little pop of green. So that is it for how I make beef stroganoff in the Instant Pot. You can serve this over pasta or mashed potatoes or rice. It's good with any of those options. If you want to keep it low carb, you can either omit or reduce the arrowroot starch, and you can serve it over spaghetti squash or cauliflower rice. Those would both be great low carb options, and this is just a really satisfying and filling meal, and everyone seems to really like it. Got about 4 pounds of russet potatoes in here that I peeled to make the mashed potatoes, and I'm just going to add the rest of my broth, which is about a cup or maybe a little less than a cup. And I'm going to cook this up. Let's see, I'll probably cook for 8 minutes. I think that'll be plenty. And then I'll mash it up right in the pot and doctor it up with some half and half, if I have half and half in the fridge. I also have cream cheese in the fridge, which is also really good in mashed potatoes, but I'll doctor it up with the spices and all that after cooking and after mashing. So you can see I'm using my Instant Pot Mini for the potatoes. It's perfect for side dishes like that. It's Sunday now, and tomorrow at our homeschool co-op, we're having a potluck. So I'm getting my dish ready this afternoon so that I can just grab it and go tomorrow. I'm going to do a white chicken chili. Also for the potluck, we will be bringing our salted caramel truffles that I made for a video that I filmed yesterday, which should have already come out by now. But my plan is to make our white chicken chili in my 6-quart Instant Pot because this is the one I feel comfortable traveling with. I don't want to travel with my nicer pots like my Duo Evo Plus, and it's 6-quart. This one's 6-quart, so it's big enough that I should be able to get a big batch in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get it all cooked up right now and ready to go, and then I will cool it and put it in the fridge. Just cover the inner pot in the fridge, and so in the morning I can throw it into my Instant Pot base and bring that with me, and I can plug it in the kitchen there at the church where we meet and let it heat up while we have our morning co-op time, and then by lunchtime it'll be ready to eat. So the ingredients that I have here are about a pound of navy beans. I just happen to have 3 Roma tomatoes that really need to get used, so I'm going to throw those in there, although I don't normally put tomatoes in my white chicken chili, so that's totally optional. I have about almost 2 pounds of chicken breast here, 8 ounces of cream cheese that will be added at the end, 2 cans of diced green chilies, a half of an onion I'm going to dice up. For the spices, I have salt, oregano, garlic powder, black pepper, and chili powder, and then broth. And this is a little bit of chicken broth that I had left, and this is the beef broth, more of the very, very jiggly beef broth that's super thick. I had some people ask how I made that when I showed it before on Instagram, and I used some beef rib. It was just a pack of beef ribs, like a small rack of beef ribs, and I cooked those up. I roasted them in the oven, and then I threw all the bones in my Instant Pot with probably 3 quarts of water, maybe. And I cooked them for like 6 hours on high pressure just because when they finished, I didn't want to deal with them, and I figured I might as well just let them cook longer on pressure. So that's how I got this extremely gelatinous bone broth. So here's a quick view of what I jotted down for ingredients. If you want to take a screenshot, feel free to do that. I put on here optional garnishes. I don't have avocado or red onion or chopped cilantro right now. And besides the avocado, nobody else in the family likes the red onion and chopped cilantro besides me. So, but that's just to give ideas of what will make it look pretty and taste delicious. Ideas to serve with: tortilla chips and cornbread. I had thought about making cornbread, but I'm just not sure I'm going to get to it. We'll see, but I'm thinking probably I'll just make the chili, and that'll have to be good enough. 35 minutes of high pressure, and that's going to cook the beans from dry. This is one of those great dump and go recipes that everyone loves the Instant Pot for. I'm putting in my dry beans, and I'm going to add in all of my veggies and spices, and then pour the broth over top, and then just lay the chicken breasts on top and lock the lid and go. No sauteing or anything like that. The main thing that I want to be sure of is that all the beans get below the water level. So I'm just mixing this up a little bit, but trying to keep the beans on the bottom. Now I'm adding in my broth, if I can get it in here. My Jello broth. There it goes. Now I'm just throwing in my 2 very large chicken breasts on the top, and the 35-minute cook time will be enough to cook these chicken breasts. Like when you cook chicken breasts, they start out, if you cook them just barely, then they're nice and tender. And then if you cook them a little bit too long, they are really tough. And then if you keep cooking them, that's when they start breaking down and they get tender again. So the 35-minute cook time is enough to break these down and get them very shreddable and very tender. Just making sure the valve is on the sealing position. And I am going to choose pressure cook and go up to 35 minutes. Make sure it's on high pressure. And there we go. And I'll probably let it sit on keep warm for at least 5 minutes, but I might let it sit longer if I am not ready to get to it after that 5 minutes. I got busy, and this has been sitting here on keep warm for 31 minutes. There's still a little pressure left there. When the pot is really full, there can be lots of pressure in there. It takes a while to natural pressure release. I'm gonna fish out the chicken breasts and get those chopped up and shredded, and then I'm going to add in my cream cheese, and I'm going to use my masher to mash the beans a little bit, and that'll just thicken it up a little bit, and then add the chicken back, and it'll be done. All right, that is it. I'm gonna let it cool here and, you know, at room temperature for a little while before I put it in the fridge. I'm just gonna put a lid on top, and then it'll be ready to pop back into my base before we leave in the morning.